Let me ask you a question that may have kept you awake at night. Why aren't the hardest working people the wealthiest? It is a great paradox, a puzzle that confuses many and keeps most people from the financial lives they desire. The puzzle is this: if hard work alone created wealth, every construction worker, every farmer, every single mother working 2 jobs would be a millionaire, but we know that is not the case. For years I lived inside that puzzle. I was told a lie, and perhaps you were too. The lie is that sheer effort is the direct path to wealth. I was a sincere, dedicated, hard worker, but I was a broke man. I was so busy working in my life, so busy chopping the wood, that I had never taken the time to sharpen my axe. I was drowning in that lie until one day, in a moment of fortunate desperation, I went to my mentor. I asked him, how do I become wealthy? His answer was the key that unlocked everything. He didn't tell me to work harder. He said, Jim, if you want to be wealthy, study wealth. If you want to be successful, study success. It hit me like a bolt of lightning. Success is not an accident. It is not magic. It is an architecture. It leaves clues, a blueprint available only to those who are willing to look for it. From that day forward, I became a student. Tonight, I invite you to become a student with me. I am not just going to share ideas. I am going to hand you that blueprint. We will deconstruct the core principles that the wealthy understand and the struggling do not. From the foundation of absolute responsibility to the unbreakable bridge of self-discipline, the engine of extraordinary value, and the invisible force of our associations. The next hour of your life will pass no matter what. The question is, will you arrive at the end of it with the same old rules that have failed you? Or will you possess the blueprint that has built fortunes for generations? The choice is yours, and it begins right now. My mentor taught me to study success, not just to work hard. And the first and most important discovery I made in my studies was this: all successful people, all wealthy people, all leaders and innovators, without exception, stand upon the same foundation. Before the habits, before the strategies, before the skills, there is this one non-negotiable principle. This is the ground upon which the entire architecture of a wealthy life is built. Without it, all other efforts will eventually crumble. This foundation is the principle of absolute self-reliance. Now, I use that term self-reliance very deliberately. It is stronger than just responsibility. It is the philosophy that you and you alone are the source of your own progress. It is the moment you stop looking outside for answers and start looking within. It is the day you stop waiting for the cavalry to arrive and realize that you are the cavalry. For most of the world, life is a story of abdication. They abdicate their power, they abdicate their control, and they abdicate their future. And the primary tool of this abdication is a long and well-rehearsed document I call the blame list. I used to be the author of my own impressive list. It was detailed. It was logical. It was in many ways true, but it kept me broke. The first item on most people's list is the government. It's an easy target. The taxes are too high. The regulations are too strict. And perhaps they are. But let me ask you, does the government control your attitude? Does the government dictate your personal philosophy? Does the government check books out of the library for you? Does it stop you from learning a new skill at night? Of course not. The second item on the list is the economy. It's a recession. The market is down. Times are tough. Again, these things can be realities. The economy is a powerful force, but it is like the weather. It is a season. A wise farmer does not blame the winter. He does not curse the snow. He uses the winter to prepare, to plan, to sharpen his tools, knowing that spring will inevitably come. The wealthy understand that fortunes are made during the winters of the economy by those who prepare. The third item is your boss or your company. They don't pay me enough. They don't appreciate me. This is one of the most common. But your job is a voluntary agreement. It is a platform, not a prison. If the platform is no longer serving your ambition, you have 2 choices. You can increase your value to the point where they have no choice but to pay you more, or you can build your own platform. Blaming the company is an abdication of your responsibility to grow. And the final, most powerful item on the list, your upbringing, I didn't come from a wealthy family. I didn't get a great education. My parents taught me poor habits. This is the most seductive excuse of all, because it contains a kernel of truth. Your past is real. It has influenced you, but it does not have to be your life sentence. You see, the blame game is so popular for one reason: it protects the ego. It is much easier to say the world is unfair than it is to say my philosophy is flawed. It is much more comforting to be a victim of circumstance than it is to be the architect of your own results. But the price for that comfort is your potential. The great turning point in my life, the moment the chains of the blame list began to fall away, was when my mentor said those simple but revolutionary words: life doesn't change. The economy doesn't change. The government doesn't change. You change. This led me to a simple but profound philosophy that I want to share with you now. It is this: you are not a tree. Think about it. A tree is fixed. It is stuck. If it is planted in poor soil, it cannot move. If the weather turns against it, it cannot move. If another tree grows and blocks its sunlight, it cannot move. It must simply accept its circumstances. But you are not a tree. If you do not like the city you live in, you can move. If you do not like your job, you can change it. If you do not like your income, you can change it. You have the glorious and sometimes terrifying gift of choice. You can change your habits. You can change your skills. You can change your associations. You can change your philosophy. You can change everything. This is the great shift in mindset that separates the wealthy from the struggling. The average person, when faced with a problem, looks outward for the cause. I'm broke because of my job. The person on the path to self-reliance looks inward for the solution. I am currently broke. I need to develop new skills and deliver more value so that I can change my income. Do you see the difference? One is a statement of imprisonment. The other is a declaration of intent. The average person says, I can't save money because things are too expensive. The self-reliant person says, things are expensive, therefore I must find a way to increase my income streams and manage my money more intelligently. One mindset leads to a life of reaction. The other leads to a life of action. This philosophy is not just a nice idea. It is a daily practice. It is about taking ownership of every aspect of your life. First, you must take ownership of your internal world. This is where all change begins. You are responsible for the thoughts you entertain. Your mind can be a garden or a junkyard. It is your choice. You are responsible for your attitude, which you choose every single morning, regardless of the circumstances. Your attitude is one of the few things in this world you have 100% control over. Do not give that control away for anything. Second, you must take ownership of your external world, your results. Own your finances. Your bank account today is a direct and unflinching reflection of your financial philosophy and habits up to this point. If you do not like the reflection, you must change the philosophy, not the mirror. Own your health. Your physical vitality is the engine for all your ambitions. You cannot build a financial empire from a hospital bed. Your health is the product of your daily, responsible choices. Own your learning. This is critical. No one is coming to your house to force you to read. No one is going to sign you up for the course that will triple your income. Your personal development is your personal responsibility. The moment you accept full ownership of all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is the moment you stop being a child, waiting for the world to take care of you, and you become an adult, the creator of your own destiny. And here we discover the great paradox. The very thing that seems like the heaviest burden, the acceptance of total 100% responsibility, is, in fact, the only path to true freedom. As long as you believe someone else is the problem, you will always be a prisoner, waiting for them to change. But the moment you accept that you are the source of your results, you become free. Why? Because if you are the source of your problems, then you are also and always the source of your solutions. If you built the financial prison you find yourself in, then you also hold the keys to the door. This choice, the choice to abandon the blame list and take the wheel of your own life, is the great foundation. But a foundation alone is not a house. Once you have said, it is up to me, the very next question that life asks you is, so what are you going to do about it? A philosophy of responsibility without a mechanism for action is just a noble theory. You now need a tool. You need a vehicle. You need a bridge that will carry you from this powerful decision to your desired destination. That bridge, that engine of all achievement, that tool that turns intention into reality has a name. It is the next pillar in our architecture. It is self-discipline. We have laid the foundation. We have made the single most important decision in the architecture of a successful life. We have drawn a line in the sand and declared, it is up to me. We have abandoned the blame list and accepted the profound, empowering truth of self-reliance. This is the moment of creation, the moment you take back control. But let me ask you a question. What does that declaration truly mean? At 7 o'clock on a cold, rainy Monday morning when the alarm clock rings, what does that philosophy mean at the end of a long, frustrating day when you are faced with the choice between an hour of study or an hour of mindless entertainment? A declaration of philosophy without a mechanism for action is nothing more than a nice sentiment. It is a wish. It is a dream. We must now construct the bridge that will carry you from the island of your noble intentions to the mainland of your tangible results. We must forge the steel that connects where you are to where you want to go. This bridge, this engine of all achievement, this is the pillar that separates the amateur from the professional. We must now talk about self-discipline. Before we can understand what discipline is, we must first understand what it is not. The greatest enemy of a disciplined life, the great imposter that fools millions into a life of inconsistency, is a fickle friend called motivation. Motivation is a wonderful feeling. It is the exhilarating rush of a new goal. It is the spark of inspiration. And on the days you feel it, the work is easy. You wake up ready to conquer the world. But what about the other days? And there will be other days. Days filled with doubt, with fatigue, with frustration. Days when the initial emotion has faded. Where is your motivation then? You see, motivation is an emotion. And like all feelings, it is temporary and unreliable. It is a fair weather friend. If you build the architecture of your life on the shifting sands of your daily mood, you will build nothing that lasts. The amateur waits to feel like it. The professional understands that feelings are irrelevant. The professional adheres to a schedule. The professional is governed by commitment. Discipline is the great equalizer. Discipline is the force that gets you to do what is necessary, especially when you do not feel like doing it. It is not a feeling, it is a choice. It is a promise you have made to your future self, a promise that you will not betray your own vision for the sake of momentary comfort. Motivation might get you started, but it is discipline that will get you to the finish line. If you want to build an extraordinary life, you must stop waiting for the feeling and start cultivating the commitment. Many people hear the word discipline and they think of restriction, of punishment, of a joyless, rigid existence. They see it as the enemy of freedom. This is a profound and tragic misunderstanding. In fact, true discipline is the only path to genuine freedom. Let me explain. We must all in this life suffer one of two pains. There is no third option. You must make a choice. The first is the pain of discipline. What is this pain? It is the discomfort of forcing yourself to make one more sales call when you feel like quitting. It is the strain of the last repetition in your workout. It is the small sacrifice of saying no to a frivolous expense to fund your future. It is the temporary sting of doing the hard, necessary thing. This pain, my friends, weighs ounces. It is light, and it is temporary. It is the price you pay for progress. The second pain is the pain of regret. What is this pain? It is the crushing, soul-heavy weight you feel 5, 10, 20 years from now when you look back on your life and see a landscape of what-ifs. It is the agony of knowing you had the potential, but you lacked the discipline. It is the hollow feeling of arriving at the end of your days with the music still locked inside you. This pain weighs tons. It is heavy and it is permanent. Discipline is simply the wisdom of choosing the lighter pain. It is the intelligent, conscious choice to pay the price in ounces today to avoid paying the price in tons tomorrow. So, when you feel the discomfort of discipline, the early morning, the difficult task, the necessary sacrifice, Do not see it as a punishment. See it as a privilege. See it as the price of admission for a life of freedom. The freedom from debt, the freedom from poor health, and the freedom from the haunting ghost of regret. So, how do we acquire this essential force if we find ourselves lacking in it? The good news is, discipline is not a gift bestowed upon a chosen few. It is not a genetic trait. Discipline is a muscle. And like any muscle, it is built through consistent progressive exercise. If you have been living an undisciplined life, your muscle of discipline is weak. You cannot go into the gymnasium of life on your first day and expect to lift 1,000 pounds. You will fail, and you will become discouraged. You must start small. This is the great secret to building unbreakable discipline. You start with a promise you know you can keep, and then you keep it. If you cannot bring yourself to read a book a week, do not set that as your goal. The goal is too heavy. Can you read 1 page a day? The discipline is not in the volume, it is in the daily act. The act of showing up. If you cannot save $1,000 a month, can you save $1 a day? The discipline is not in the amount, it is in the act of saving. You see, each time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you build trust in yourself, you strengthen the muscle, you cast another vote for the new disciplined identity you are creating. That 1 page a day, over a year, becomes a 365-page book. That $1 a day becomes a foundation for financial independence. Success doesn't come from what you do once in a while, it comes from what you do consistently. Think of a drop of water falling on a stone. A single drop has no effect. But the relentless, consistent dripping, day after day, year after year, can carve a path through the hardest rock. That is the power of small daily disciplines. Over time, something remarkable happens. The conscious, difficult, muscle-straining act of discipline begins to become easier. Through repetition, it moves from the realm of conscious choice to the realm of unconscious habit. The daily argument with yourself about whether or not to do the necessary thing simply stops. It becomes automatic. This is the ultimate goal, to automate excellence until it becomes a part of your very character. Now, let us connect this powerful force to the other pillars of our architecture. A goal without discipline is just a wish. It is a dream without an engine. Discipline is the steel, the concrete, the very structure of the bridge that connects the island of your goals to the mainland of your accomplishment. Without it, you are just standing on the shore, looking out at the water, wishing you were on the other side. Every act of discipline is a plank in that bridge. Every day you choose the pain of discipline over the ease of comfort, you drive another pylon deep into the bedrock. Discipline is the proof of your self-reliance. It is you acting on your decision that it is up to me. Discipline is what fuels the creation of value, our next topic, because it takes discipline to do more than you are paid for. Discipline is what allows you to manage your associations, giving you the strength to walk away from negative influences. Discipline is the unifying force that makes all the other principles a reality. It is the work, so you have accepted responsibility. You have now, hopefully, committed to the discipline required to act on that responsibility. The next logical question is, where do you direct this powerful new habit? Where do you apply this muscle for the greatest financial and personal return? You must direct it toward the consistent, daily creation of value. A disciplined person with no valuable tasks to perform is simply a master of trivia. You must now take this engine and put it to work. We have built the foundation. We have now built the bridge. It is time to start sending traffic across that bridge. It is time to discuss the philosophy of value. We have now constructed the unbreakable bridge of self-discipline. We have made the commitment to do what is necessary, regardless of our mood, regardless of the circumstances. This is a monumental achievement. You have separated yourself from the crowd who live their lives based on how they feel. But a bridge is useless if you do not drive the right vehicle across it. Discipline without a worthy direction is merely an exercise in futility. A man can be incredibly disciplined at digging a hole, but if he is digging in the wrong place, he will never find the gold. So the question becomes, where do we direct this powerful new habit? Where do we apply this muscle of discipline for the greatest possible return, both personally and financially? This brings us to the engine of our architecture, the pillar that determines your economic destiny. We must now discuss the philosophy of value. Let us begin by dismantling a great misunderstanding, a trap that keeps millions of hardworking people financially constrained for their entire lives. It is the belief that you are paid for your time. The average person thinks, I work for 8 hours, so I get paid for 8 hours. They believe there is a direct linear relationship between the minutes they are on the clock and the dollars they put in their pocket. And because of this philosophy, their income is forever capped. Why is this a trap? Because your time is your most precious and most finite resource. You have 24 hours in a day and you cannot create more. If you are trading your life hour by hour for a fixed amount of money, you have entered into a bargain that you can never truly win. You will eventually run out of hours to sell. The wealthy understand a different, more powerful law. They know that you do not get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. Let me say that again. You do not get paid for your time, you get paid for your value. Consider this. A man digs a ditch with a shovel for 8 hours. At the end of the day, he has created a certain amount of value, and he is paid accordingly. In another part of the city, a brilliant surgeon performs a life-saving 1-hour operation. In that single hour, she is paid perhaps 100 times more than the ditch digger. Did the surgeon have a better hour? Was her hour longer? No, an hour is an hour. The difference was not the time. It was the value that each person brought to that time. One brought physical labor. The other brought decades of study, skill, practice, and life-saving expertise. If you want to radically change your income, you must stop focusing on selling more of your time. You must begin the magnificent obsession of packing more value into the time you have. So, how does one become a person of greater value? It begins with a simple, yet profound, shift in your personal philosophy regarding work. The philosophy of the average person is to do just enough to get by, just enough to not get fired. The philosophy of the wealthy is this: always do more than you are paid for, and eventually you will be paid for more than you do. This is the philosophy of the extra mile. What does it mean in practice? It is not just about staying late. It is a comprehensive approach to your work. First, it means performing your required duties with an uncommon level of excellence. Don't just meet expectations, shatter them. Be the person who is known for their quality, their reliability, and their attention to detail. This is the baseline. Second, it means demonstrating initiative in the unexpected. The average person says, "That's not my job." The person of value is always looking for opportunities to contribute beyond their job description. They see a problem and think of a solution. They help a struggling colleague without being asked. They bring an idea to their boss that could save the company money or improve a service. They are not just an employee, they are a partner in the enterprise. And third, it means delivering it all with the right attitude. A person who does the minimum with a sour attitude is a liability. They are easily replaceable. But a person who consistently goes the extra mile with a positive, resourceful, how can I help attitude is a treasure. They are magnetic. They become indispensable. I will never forget the story of the janitor. The transcript of his life began with mops floors, but his personal philosophy was, I am the caretaker of this entire facility, and its success is partly my responsibility. He didn't just clean, he created an environment of excellence. He noticed the flickering light in the executive's office and reported it. He learned the names of the top clients and greeted them with a smile. He treated the place as if he owned it. And over the years, through promotion after promotion, he eventually did. He became too valuable to be ignored. Now, here's the challenge with the philosophy of the extra mile. The return is not always immediate. This is where most people stumble. They practice this philosophy for a week, for a month, and when a raise or a promotion doesn't immediately appear, they say, see, it's not worth it. And they retreat back to doing the minimum. They have forgotten the most ancient law of economics and of life, the law of sowing and reaping. A farmer who plants a seed in the spring does not return on Tuesday demanding a harvest. He would be considered a fool. He understands that there is a process. There is a season for sowing and there is a season for reaping, and they are not the same season. Every time you go the extra mile, every time you add unexpected value, you are sowing a seed. You are planting seeds of competence, of reliability, of goodwill, and of reputation. You cannot see them grow day by day, but under the surface, the roots are taking hold, and eventually the harvest will come. It is the law. It may not come from the exact place you sowed the seed. The boss you impressed might leave the company, but he will remember you, and 2 years later he will call you for an opportunity that is twice as good. Your reputation for value is a currency that compounds over time. Do not be discouraged by the time lag between sowing and reaping. Trust the process. The harvest is certain for those who consistently plant the seeds of value. You see, the ultimate goal of this philosophy is not just to do more work to get a bigger paycheck. The ultimate goal is to transform yourself into a person of such skill, such initiative, and such character that you become invaluable. This is where the philosophy of value connects all our other pillars. It takes self-discipline to consistently go the extra mile when others are coasting home. The primary way you increase your value is through continuous growth, by working harder on yourself, reading the books, and learning the skills. Your self-reliance is demonstrated by your choice to create your own value rather than waiting for someone to give it to you. And as you consistently practice this philosophy, something remarkable begins to happen. You don't just get a raise or a promotion. Your reputation begins to precede you. People of influence and opportunity start to notice. Other people of value want to work with you. The quality of people who seek you out begins to change. You have become a person of value. Now, you must place that value in the right environment to see it multiply. A magnificent prize-winning plant will wither if it is kept in a dark, toxic closet. This leads us directly to the next powerful force that will accelerate your journey more than any other. You have built your own engine. Now you must choose the right highway to drive it on. It is time to discuss the law of association. We have now established the engine of our enterprise, the philosophy of creating extraordinary value. You have made the commitment to go the extra mile, to become a person of such skill and initiative that the marketplace cannot ignore you. You are sowing the seeds of excellence with the discipline we have discussed. This is a powerful combination, but a prize-winning seed, no matter its potential, will wither and die if it is planted in toxic, barren soil. A magnificent engine will be useless if it is placed in a vehicle with flat tires and a broken axle. Your environment is the soil in which all of your efforts will either flourish into a great harvest or fail to even sprout. Your circle of associates are the vehicle that will either carry you towards your destination or break down on the side of the road. This brings us to a force so powerful, yet so subtle, that most people are completely unaware of its daily influence on their lives. We must now discuss the fourth pillar in our architecture, the inescapable law of association. This law is simple in its statement, but its implications are vast and life-altering. The principle is this: you are becoming the combined average of the 5 people with whom you spend the most time. Let me say that again, and I want you to let this sink in. You do not just live among them, you are becoming them. Their attitudes, their health habits, their income levels, their expectations, their fears, their conversations, all of it is slowly, imperceptibly, and inevitably shaping the person you are and the person you will become. Association is a force like atmospheric pressure. It is invisible, it is silent, and it is exerting its influence on you at all times. You do not feel it, but it is there. If you surround yourself with people who are positive, who are readers, who are ambitious, who are building their future, the atmospheric pressure is uplifting. It makes it easier to breathe. It makes excellence feel normal. But if you surround yourself with people who are cynical, who complain, who make excuses, who are coasting through life, the atmospheric pressure is crushing. It is heavy. It makes it difficult to breathe the air of possibility. It makes your own ambitions feel strange and out of place. It takes an almost superhuman level of will to constantly fight against the downward pressure of a negative environment. We are all social chameleons. We unconsciously adapt to our surroundings to fit in. We adopt the colors of the conversations, the attitudes, and the standards around us. It is a survival mechanism. But if you are trying to build an extraordinary life, blending in with a mediocre environment is not survival. It is the slow, comfortable death of your potential. So how specifically does this powerful force work its magic or its poison? It shapes you across three critical dimensions of your life. First, it shapes your thinking. Pay close attention to the content of the conversations around you. What do the people in your life talk about? Some people talk about other people. This is the language of gossip. It is a low-level, destructive conversation that shrinks your mind. Other people talk about events, the news, the sports, the latest crisis. This is largely passive. It is the conversation of spectators reacting to the world. Then there are those who talk about ideas, growth, opportunity, philosophy, building a better future. This is the conversation of creators. The dominant conversation in your life will become the dominant thought pattern in your mind. This environment also sets your level of expectation. If everyone in your circle settles for just getting by, their standard of mediocrity will begin to feel normal. Your grand vision will begin to feel unrealistic. Their ceiling becomes your prison. Second, association shapes your habits. Your daily disciplines, the very bridge to your success, are either reinforced or eroded by your circle. Look at your health. If your 5 closest associates live on fast food and are sedentary, the social pressure to conform is immense. A healthy choice becomes an act of rebellion. Look at your finances. Is your circle disciplined with their money? Do they invest and plan? Or are they drowning in consumer debt? Their financial philosophy will become your own. Look at your work ethic. Your commitment to go the extra mile is much harder to maintain when you are surrounded by colleagues who are experts at doing the minimum. Their habit of coasting creates a powerful gravitational pull on your habit of striving. Third, and most importantly, association shapes your future by shaping your belief. This connects directly back to our earlier pillar. Your circle is either a team of gardeners for your belief or a team of assassins. They are either watering the flower of your potential or they are pouring poison on its roots. This is the meaning behind the idea of the 97% versus the 3%. The 97% are not bad people. They are good people who have simply settled. They have accepted a life of coasting. The 3% are the dreamers, the doers, the builders. If you aspire to be in the 3%, you simply cannot afford to spend the majority of your time listening to the philosophy of the 97%. So what is the answer? Most people's associations are an accident of history, of geography, of their job. But the architect of an extraordinary life is not a creature of accident. The architect is a designer. You must choose your associations with the same purpose and precision that you would choose your life's goals. This requires a conscious strategy. First, there is the strategy of disassociation. This is the most difficult, but often the most necessary. You must identify the major sources of negativity in your life. The person who constantly complains, the person who mocks your ambition, the person who drains your energy. As the transcript says, you must be willing to walk away. Not because you are better than them, but because you are committed to becoming a better version of yourself, and you cannot do that in a toxic environment. This is not an act of arrogance. It is an act of self-preservation. Second, for those you cannot or will not completely disassociate from perhaps family or longtime friends, you must practice limited association. You can love people from a distance. You can have a warm, loving, focused 30-minute conversation instead of a draining, negative 3-hour one. You are the guardian of your own time and your own mental space. You must manage the exposure. Third, and most excitingly, there is the strategy of expanded association. You must actively seek out the people you wish to become. Seek out the 3%. Where are they? They are at the seminars. They are in the libraries. They are in the workshops and the mastermind groups. They are where growth is happening. You must go where they are. This is an active pursuit. I challenge you to perform an audit. Take out a piece of paper, draw 5 circles. In each circle, write the name of one of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, next to each name, analyze their impact on you. on your ambition, on your health, on your attitude. This simple exercise can be one of the most sobering and one of the most life-changing you will ever perform. And this leads us to the ultimate purpose of a powerful association. The goal is not just to find people who can help you make more money. The goal is to find people who will hold you to a higher standard of character. A true, powerful association is the greatest guardian of your integrity. When you are tempted to cut a corner, the thought of disappointing your circle of high achievers can be the very thing that keeps you on the right path. And this reveals a final critical insight. You do not just find a great circle of associates. You attract them, and you attract them by becoming an attractive person yourself. Not physically attractive, but attractive in your discipline, in your commitment to creating value, and in your own character. To be in the presence of the wise, you must become a student. To be in the presence of the successful, you must practice the habits of success. The work of improving your associations is inextricably linked to the work of improving yourself. And this is the perfect bridge to our next pillar. We have designed our external environment, but even the best environment cannot save a person with a flawed internal foundation. The associations you choose are a reflection of the standards you hold for yourself. Now, we must turn our focus to the most important bedrock of all, the internal environment of your own character. It is time to discuss integrity and character. We are now at the halfway point of our architectural journey. We have laid the foundation and erected the first 4 pillars. If these ideas, the power of self-reliance, the bridge of discipline, the engine of value, and the environment of association are providing you with a new sense of clarity and purpose, then I invite you to take a small action. This channel is more than just a place for videos. It is a library for the architects of life. By taking a moment to click that subscribe button, you are making a commitment not to me, but to your own ongoing education. You are ensuring you will always have access to the blueprints for a better future. Take a moment to do so now. We have 4 more crucial pillars to construct, beginning with the very bedrock of all lasting success. All right, let us continue. We have just designed our external world. We have made the profound and strategic choice to manage our associations, to surround ourselves with the 3% who lift us, who challenge us, who hold us to a higher standard. This is a powerful step. A magnificent environment can accelerate your growth, but even the most fertile soil cannot produce a healthy tree from a rotten seed. Even the most powerful circle of associates cannot, in the long run, save a person with a flawed internal foundation. They may hold you to a higher standard, but ultimately, the choice of character is yours and yours alone, made in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. This brings us to the bedrock, not just another pillar, but the very ground upon which all the pillars must rest. Without this, the entire structure is at risk. We must now talk about the uncompromising foundation of all lasting success: integrity and character. In the grand enterprise of building a life, every one of us is an architect. And every architect, on the first day of the project, faces a fundamental choice. It is a choice that will define everything that follows. Do you build for speed, or do you build for strength? Do you build for the short-term appearance, or for long-term endurance? Let me tell you about the first architect. He is the architect of the house of cards. He is clever, he is fast, and he is impressive. His primary goal is to build something that looks successful as quickly as possible. To do this, he uses shortcuts. He cuts corners. He uses flimsy materials, a small exaggeration here, a broken promise there, a truth slightly bent for convenience. From the outside, his structure rises with breathtaking speed. He has the cars, the house, the lifestyle. He wins the applause of the crowd, but his magnificent creation has no foundation. It is built on the shifting sands of convenience and deception. Now, let me tell you about the second architect. She is the architect of the fortress. Her progress is slower. It is less flashy. While the first architect is building his glamorous third story, she is still in the ground, digging. She spends most of her time on the foundation, digging deep until she hits the bedrock of unshakable principles. The materials she uses are the finest: absolute honesty, fairness, keeping her word even when it hurts. Her work is not as exciting to watch, but the structure she is building is designed to withstand any storm for any generation. And make no mistake, the storms will come. The winds of economic change, the storms of market shifts, the hurricanes of personal crisis, they come for everyone. The storm does not care how beautiful the house looks. It only tests the foundation. And when that wind blows, the house of cards, for all its glamour, will inevitably and often instantly collapse into a pile of ruin. But the fortress will stand. So what is this bedrock of integrity? It is a word we often hear but rarely dissect. Integrity is not just honesty. Honesty is telling the truth to others. Integrity is being true to yourself. It is the profound and powerful alignment between your deepest values, the words you speak, and the actions you take. It is a state of being whole, unbroken. A life of character is built upon three internal pillars. First, your word must be your bond. This is not just for the million-dollar contract. It is for the small, everyday promises. If you say you will call at 3 o'clock, you call at 3 o'clock. If you promise a report by Friday, it is on the desk by Friday. Each time you keep a promise, no matter how small, you forge your character in steel. Each time you break one, you weaken it. A person of character understands that their name and their word are the same thing. Second, you must do what is right, especially when it is difficult. Integrity is not tested when everything is going your way. It is tested when doing the right thing will cost you something. When telling the truth might lose you the deal. When the easy path is the dishonest one. These are the moments that define you. The short-term gain from a compromised value is never worth the long-term cost to your character. Third, you must be committed to delivering genuine value. This connects directly to our previous discussion. A person of integrity is not just in it for the money. They are in it to solve a problem, to serve a customer, to make a genuine contribution. Their focus is on giving value, not just getting paid. This philosophy ensures that you are always on the right side of the equation. As the transcript says, I have seen both kinds of architects in my life. I saw the man who built his fortune the wrong way. He was clever, he won for a season, but the foundation was sand, and when the tide of his reputation went out, there was nothing left. And I saw the other man, the one who built it the right way, the slow way, the hard way. And decades later, his name was synonymous with trust. His wealth was not just intact, it was respected. That is the difference. This brings us to the true return on investment of integrity. In the architecture of wealth, the most valuable currency in the world is not the dollar, the euro, or gold. The most valuable currency is trust. Your character is the factory that manufactures trust. Your reputation is the brand name that tells the world that your trust is pure. And your reputation is your single greatest asset. It precedes you into every negotiation. It opens doors that money cannot. It brings you opportunities that you did not even know existed, because people of character want to do business with other people of character. Like money in a savings account, trust compounds. Every honest deal, every kept promise, every act of fairness is a deposit into your trust account. Over years, this account grows and yields incredible dividends in the form of loyalty from your customers, your partners, and your team. But here is the danger. Trust, which can take a lifetime to build, can be destroyed in a single moment of poor judgment. A single lie, a single act of deception can bankrupt a decades-long accumulation of trust. This is why the house of cards collapses so quickly. It has no trust equity. Your commitment to integrity is the most practical and profitable business strategy you will ever adopt. How can you tell in the moment whether a decision is aligned with integrity? Here is a simple litmus test. The choice between a shortcut and the right way is almost always a choice between the short term and the long term. The dishonest shortcut almost always offers an immediate reward. The path of integrity almost always requires a short-term sacrifice for a long-term advantage. A person of integrity is by their very nature playing the long game. They are not thinking about this quarter's profits. They are thinking about next decade's reputation. They are not building for a quick win. They are building a legacy. They are not just trying to make money. They are trying to become the person who deserves to have it. And this is the ultimate goal. Success is something you attract by the person you become. A person of impeccable character is a magnet for sustainable, long-term success. This philosophy of integrity, of building on a solid bedrock, is what allows you to lift your eyes from the immediate transaction and gaze upon the horizon. It is what gives you the confidence to think not just about today, but about the decades to come. We have now built our structure upon a solid foundation. We know it will endure. We must now turn our attention to the timeline of our architecture. We must learn to see beyond the immediate and embrace the perspective of a true master builder. It is time to discuss playing the infinite game. We have just established the bedrock of our entire structure, the uncompromising foundation of integrity and character. We have made the profound choice to build not a house of cards for a fleeting season, but a fortress designed to stand for generations. And in making that choice, we have implicitly made another. We have discovered that the choice for integrity is almost always a choice for the long-term advantage over the short-term gain. This reveals a powerful truth about the world of success. The world is divided into two types of players, playing two entirely different games. One game is played for a temporary prize. The other is played for a lasting legacy. To build a life of sustainable wealth and meaning, you must understand which game you are playing. This brings us to the sixth pillar in our architecture, the pillar of perspective. We must now talk about the philosophy of playing the infinite game. Let me define the two games. The first is the finite game. A finite game is played for the purpose of winning. It has known players, fixed rules, and an agreed-upon objective that, when reached, ends the game. A football game is a finite game. There is a winner and a loser, and then the game is over. Many people treat their lives, their careers, and their businesses as a series of finite games. Their goal is to win the negotiation, to get the promotion, to beat the quarterly earnings, to close the deal. The focus is on the transaction, on the immediate victory. But then there is the infinite game. An infinite game is played for the purpose of continuing the play. It has known and unknown players. The rules are changeable, and there is no finish line. There is no such thing as winning the game of business or winning the game of life. The objective is not to win, but to perpetuate the game, to keep your enterprise healthy and strong, so that it can continue to thrive for generations to come. The mindset of the players is radically different. The finite player asks, what can I get from this deal? The infinite player asks, how can we structure this deal so that it builds a relationship that will last for decades? The finite player asks, what is the fastest way to make a profit? The infinite player asks, what is the most sustainable way to build a company that serves its customers and its community? The finite player plays for the prize, the infinite player plays for the purpose. The culture we live in celebrates the finite player. It celebrates the sprinter, the person who chases the quick win, the easy money, the instant gratification. The sprinter is fueled by adrenaline and the desire for a fast victory. They take the shortcuts we discussed earlier. I remember a time, as the transcript recalls, when I was offered a deal. It was fast money, an easy win, no effort. It was a classic finite game. But my intuition, grounded in the bedrock of integrity, told me something was wrong. I turned it down. A few months later, the entire thing collapsed, and the people who had sprinted for that quick win lost everything. That is the danger of the finite game. It looks attractive, but it is often a trap. It encourages you to make decisions that are beneficial today, but destructive tomorrow. The infinite player is not a sprinter. The infinite player is a marathoner. They are not fueled by a quick burst of adrenaline, but by a long-term vision. They understand pacing. They understand strategy. They understand that true success is a game of endurance. The greatest metaphor for the infinite game is the planting of a tree. If you plant the seed of an oak tree today, you do not get shade tomorrow. In fact, for a long time, it may seem as if nothing is happening at all. This is the period where the finite player, the sprinter, gives up. They see no immediate result, so they declare the project a failure and move on to the next shiny object. But the infinite player, the marathoner, understands the unseen process. They know that during those early years, the most important work is happening underground. A deep, complex, and powerful root system is being built. This is the period of quiet, unseen discipline. It is the period of going the extra mile when there is no immediate reward. And then, after years of patient cultivation, the tree begins its ascent. And it does not just grow for a season, it grows for a lifetime. Decades later, that tree provides shade, stability, and value for generations. It becomes a landmark. Its strength is a direct result of the long, patient, and often unrewarding work that was done at the beginning. This is how true wealth is built. You must be willing to do the work today for a result you may not fully see for a decade. You must play the long game. This perspective of the infinite game completely changes our relationship with the goals we set. Remember our earlier discussion? We established that the ultimate reason for setting goals is not what you get, but who you become. The finite player does not understand this. For them, the goal is the prize. They get the car, the house, the title, and they declare, "I have won." And often, after a brief moment of celebration, they feel a sense of emptiness. The game is over. So they must find another short-term, finite game to win to feel successful again. The infinite player sees goals differently. They see a goal not as a prize to be won, but as a curriculum to be studied. A challenging goal is a tool designed to forge them into a better person. The achievement is secondary to the growth. The prize is not standing on the summit of the mountain. The prize is the strength, the skill, the resilience, and the character they built during the arduous climb. This is why the infinite player is, by their very nature, a lifelong learner, a practitioner of continuous growth. They are not trying to become better in order to win the next game. They are trying to become better so that they are capable of staying in the game at a higher and more meaningful level indefinitely. Think of two entrepreneurs. One builds a company with the sole goal of selling it in 3 to 5 years. This is a finite game. He will make decisions to maximize short-term profit to make the company look attractive for a sale. He may cut corners on culture, on long-term research, on customer relationships. He wins when he sells the company. The second entrepreneur builds a company with the goal of creating the best product and the most enduring institution in her industry for as long as she can. This is an infinite game. Her decisions are different. She invests heavily in her people. She focuses on long-term innovation. She builds deep, trusting relationships with her customers. A decade later, the first company has been absorbed, dismantled, and has disappeared. The second company is a thriving institution, a pillar of its community, a legacy. Both were successful, but only one played the infinite game. This brings us to a fascinating paradox. The infinite player, the marathoner, is incredibly patient with results, but incredibly impatient with action. They are willing to wait decades for the oak tree to mature, but they are not willing to wait until tomorrow to water the seed. This is the key to living this philosophy. You must have a long-term vision, but you must execute it with short-term, daily urgency. Your perspective is on the decades, but your focus is on today. You have built your architecture on the bedrock of integrity. You have adopted the wise and patient perspective of the infinite player. You are thinking in generations, but a long-term vision without immediate, powerful, and consistent effort is nothing more than a pleasant daydream. The perspective of the marathon runner is useless if you are unwilling to take the first step, and the second, and the one after that, with relentless intensity. The greatest vision and the most patient perspective must be fueled by an engine. They must be brought to life by a force that turns contemplation into creation. It is now time to add the fuel to our architecture. It is time to ignite the engine that will drive us forward, day after day, toward that distant, worthy horizon. It is time to discuss massive, intelligent action. We have now adopted the wise and patient perspective of the master architect. We are playing the infinite game. We have built our structure on the bedrock of integrity, and we are thinking in decades, not days. This perspective is powerful. It gives us stability. It gives us peace of mind. But a long-term vision without immediate, powerful, and consistent effort is one of the most tragic forms of self-delusion. It is a pleasant daydream. It is a beautiful blueprint for a palace that will never be built. The world is filled with brilliant strategists who never enter the game. It is filled with magnificent plans that never leave the drawing board. The greatest vision and the most patient perspective must be fueled by an engine. They must be brought to life by a force that turns contemplation into creation. It is now time to add the fuel to our architecture. It is time to ignite the engine that will drive us, day after day, toward that distant, worthy horizon. We must now discuss the seventh pillar, the absolute necessity of massive, intelligent action. In our journey to this point, you have become a student. You have learned the principles of self-reliance, discipline, value, and association. This is essential. But here lies a great trap. Many people fall in love with the idea of success. They read all the books. They attend all the seminars. They fill notebooks with plans and charts. They feel very productive, but they mistake learning about the subject with doing the subject. Let me be clear, don't just let your learning lead to more knowledge. You must let your learning lead to action. There is a powerful and unforgiving law in the universe I call the law of diminishing intent. It states that the longer you wait to act on an idea, a goal, or a decision, the weaker the impulse to act becomes. The space between the moment of decision and the moment of the first physical step is the breeding ground for doubt, for procrastination, for the slow death of ambition. Imagine two people who attend a life-changing seminar. The first person goes home, filled with inspiration, and spends the next week creating the perfect plan. The second person goes home and that very evening takes one small, imperfect, but immediate action. They make the phone call they've been dreading. They write the first paragraph of their business plan. They sign up for the gym. Which one is more likely to succeed? It is always the second person, because they have closed the gap between intention and action. They have conquered inertia. All the knowledge in the world is useless until it is translated into directed effort. Success is not a convenient pursuit. It does not work on your schedule. It does not care if you are tired or if you are not in the mood. If you want ordinary results, the results the 97% get, then ordinary effort will suffice. But if you want extraordinary results, you must be willing to put in extraordinary effort. This is the principle of massive action. What does massive mean? It means a level of activity that is unreasonable to the average person. It is a pace of work that makes your friends and family a little concerned. It is a commitment so intense that it separates you from the crowd who are merely dabbling in their dreams. Think of a rocket ship trying to leave Earth. To break free from the powerful pull of gravity, it must burn more fuel and generate more thrust in the first few minutes of launch than it does for the rest of its entire journey to the moon. That initial, explosive, massive burst of energy is non-negotiable. Without it, the rocket will never escape the atmosphere. It is the same with your life. To break free from the gravitational pull of your old habits, your old associations, and your old results, you cannot coast. You cannot take average action. You must launch yourself with a level of massive, focused effort that makes a breakthrough inevitable. As the transcript says, the most successful people in any field understand this. They have a relentless work ethic. An athlete does not become a champion by relying on talent alone. They practice longer, harder, and with more intensity than anyone else. An entrepreneur does not build a great company with a great idea alone. They execute on that idea with a ferocious discipline, day after day, year after year. Success is not for the dabbler. It is for the committed. You must be willing to do for a short time what most people are not willing to do, so you can live the rest of your life like most people cannot. That is the promise of massive action. But let us be very clear. Massive action alone is not enough. It must be paired with its crucial partner, intelligent action. As the transcript wisely states, you must not mistake activity for accomplishment. I have met many people who are working very hard, but are still broke. They are busy, but they are not productive. They are like a hamster on a wheel, generating a great deal of motion, but making no forward progress. They are what I call the busy fool. They are addicted to the feeling of being busy because it keeps them from the difficult work of thinking and planning. Working hard at the wrong thing will not make you successful. It will just make you tired. Intelligent action is about leverage. It is the understanding that in any pursuit, a few key actions produce the vast majority of the results. The art of intelligent action is to first identify those few high leverage activities and then to apply your massive action to them. So what are these high leverage activities? They are almost always the most difficult ones. They are the ones you are most likely to procrastinate on. In sales, it is making the calls to new prospects, not organizing your desk. In writing, it is putting words on the blank page, not researching for another week. In business, it is developing your product and talking to your customers, not endlessly tweaking your logo. This is the philosophy of working smart. First, you plan your work. A few hours spent in intelligent, focused planning can save you weeks of wasted effort. The architect spends months on the blueprint before a single brick is laid. Second, you measure your results. You must know what is working and what is not. Track your key metrics. What you measure, you can improve. Third, you must be willing to adjust your approach. If you are taking massive action and not getting the results you want, do not just work harder. Stop, analyze, and change your strategy. An intelligent person does not keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. Imagine two salespeople. Both are committed to massive action, making 50 calls a day. The first salesperson, the busy fool, picks up a phone book and starts dialing random numbers. The second salesperson, the intelligent professional, spends the first hour of the day researching and identifying the 50 most qualified, most likely prospects to call. Who will have greater success at the end of the day? The action was the same in quantity, but it was vastly different in quality. That is the power of intelligent action. So you have mastered this powerful combination. You are taking massive intelligent action every single day. You have become a highly effective, highly productive individual. Your results will inevitably begin to soar. But even with this incredible engine, your personal impact is still limited by the 24 hours in your day. You are still just one person. If your success, your income, and your business depend entirely on your personal effort, you have not yet built true wealth. You have built a high-paying job. True wealth and a true legacy are created when your results are no longer solely dependent on your presence. This requires the ultimate form of intelligent action, leverage. And the ultimate form of leverage is duplication. You have mastered the art of taking effective action. But if your knowledge dies with you, your success is finite. The final, most intelligent act of a successful person is to teach, to mentor, and to build a team. It is the shift from doing to leading. This is the bridge that carries us to our final destination in this architectural journey. You have built a magnificent structure for yourself. But the final act of a master architect is not just to build one building. It is to teach others the principles of architecture, so that great buildings, great enterprises, and great lives can be constructed long after they are gone. It is time to discuss the final pillar, the one that ensures your success outlives you. It is time to discuss the principle of duplication. We have traveled a remarkable journey together. We have built an entire architecture, a philosophy for a life of wealth and success. You have mastered the engine of achievement through massive, intelligent action. You have learned to apply your discipline and your value with the perspective of the infinite game. You have built this magnificent structure on the bedrock of integrity within a carefully chosen environment. You have climbed the mountain. You have reached the summit of personal success. The view from here is incredible. But when you arrive at this summit, you are presented with a new, magnificent vista, the endless horizon of the future. And you are faced with a new profound choice, a choice that will define the ultimate meaning of your success. There are two paths from the summit. The first is the path of accumulation. You can build a fortress at the peak, hoard your accomplishments, and spend the rest of your days protecting what you have built. This is the path of personal success. It is a good path. It is a noble achievement, but it is by its very nature limited. Then there is the second path, the path of duplication. This is the path where you turn around, you walk back down into the valley, and you teach others how to make the climb. This is the path that leads from success to significance. This is the path that leads to legacy. As the transcript wisely notes, if success was only about what one person could accomplish alone, it would be limited. Your time is finite. Your energy is finite. Your life is finite. True wealth, true impact, must find a way to transcend these limitations. This brings us to our final pillar, the one that completes our architecture and gives it an eternal purpose. We must now talk about the principle that turns success into a legacy, the principle of duplication. The core philosophy is this: the truly wealthy do not just accumulate money, they accumulate knowledge, wisdom, and experience, and then they teach it to others. Let us use an analogy. Throughout our journey together, you have learned how to plant, nurture, and grow a magnificent fruit-bearing tree. Your self-reliance was the act of choosing the plot of land. Your discipline was the act of watering it daily. Your integrity was the quality of the soil. And now, you have a tree that provides shade and sustenance for you and your family. This is a great achievement. But the master farmer, the infinite game player, knows that the ultimate value of that tree is not its fruit. The ultimate value of that tree is its seeds. The principle of duplication is the profound realization that you can take the seeds of your success, the seeds of your knowledge, your philosophy, your skills, your character, and you can teach others how to plant their own trees. This is how you move from having a single successful tree to creating a vast self-sustaining orchard. This is how your impact multiplies beyond your personal reach. This is how you create a harvest that will continue to feed people long after you are gone. What are these seeds that you must pass on? First, there is the seed of philosophy. You must duplicate your mindset, the belief in self-reliance, the perspective of the infinite game, the commitment to integrity. This is the why. Second, there is the seed of strategy. You must duplicate your practical methods, your goal-setting techniques, your disciplinary habits, the systems you use to create value. This is the how. Third, there is the seed of skill. You must duplicate your tangible abilities. You train others to become masters of the craft, to perform at the same level of excellence as you. This is the what. And most importantly, you must duplicate the seed of character. You pass on your values, not just through your words, but through your example. You teach others not just how to be successful, but how to be worthy of success. This is the who. So how do we practice this principle? The primary vehicle for duplication is the art of mentorship. Mentorship is not simply giving out a few tips. It is a deep and structured process of empowerment. A true mentor plays three essential roles. First, the mentor is a teacher. You must be willing to share what you know, openly and generously. As the transcript says, don't keep your success a secret. The mindset of scarcity says, if I teach others my secrets, they will become my competitors. The mindset of abundance says, if I teach others my secrets, I will create a world of allies and elevate the entire industry. You must be able to break down your complex knowledge into simple, actionable steps that others can follow. Second, the mentor is a guide. You do not just hand someone a map and wish them luck. You walk with them for the first part of the journey. You show them the pitfalls to avoid, the shortcuts that are actually traps, the lessons you had to learn the hard way. You invest your time in their success. Third, and most powerfully, the mentor is a source of belief. This is where the architecture of wealth comes full circle. A great mentor sees more potential in the student than the student sees in themselves. They hold up a mirror and show them the giant they are capable of becoming. You ignite their belief just as your belief was once ignited. And in this process of giving, a remarkable paradox is revealed. The more you give, the more you get. You see, when you teach a subject, you are forced to understand it at a level you never could as just a student. Your own knowledge deepens and clarifies. When you mentor others, you build a network of loyal, capable allies who will be there for you in the future. And when you duplicate your success in others, you create your legacy. Your influence expands exponentially. Your philosophy outlives you. Imagine a master craftsman He is the best in his field. He could have worked alone his entire life, his unique skills and secrets dying with him. But instead, he took on 3 apprentices. He duplicated his philosophy, his skills, and his character in them. They in turn went on to open their own shops and took on their own apprentices. 100 years later, the entire region is known for its incredible craftsmanship, a legacy of excellence, all stemming from the one man who chose duplication over accumulation. And here, at the end of our journey, our architecture is complete. This final, profound principle of duplication is not just another pillar, it is the ultimate expression of all the others combined. You pass on the philosophy of self-reliance. You teach others the power of self-discipline. You show them how to create extraordinary value. You help them build powerful associations. You model the uncompromising bedrock of integrity. You give them the wise perspective of the infinite game. You train them in the art of massive intelligent action. You are not just building your own life, you are giving others the blueprint to build theirs. This leads us to the final and most important definition of success. Success is not just about what you accomplish for yourself. True, lasting success, true wealth is measured by how many other people are successful because of you. True wealth is not the money in your account. It is the impact in your wake. So here is the final challenge. Do not just become the architect of your own extraordinary life. Become a teacher of architecture. Do not just climb the mountain. Show others the way. Don't just keep success to yourself. Teach it, duplicate it, pass it on. Because if you do, your success will not just be a story told for a season, it will be a legacy that echoes for a lifetime. Your journey as an architect begins now with the very next choice you make to revisit this blueprint anytime you need guidance, and to continue your studies with us as we explore other facets of a well-lived life. Be sure you are subscribed to the channel and turn on notifications. Thank you for your time. Now go and build your masterpiece.